Parsha of Vayishlach begins with the encounter between Yaakov and Esav. And the Svarim tell us, the Ramban in Lamed Gimel Tesvav brings down that this story is referred to as the Parsha of Galus. That the Chachamim used to look at this Parsha when they would come to deal with the Romans, because they viewed this story as a model of how to deal with Esav in the Galus. And the Ramban, in the beginning of Parshas Vayishlach, has a Hakdama where he explains why this section is written. He says it has four purposes. He says, first of all, to let us know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Avdo Galom Yad Chazak Imenu, to teach us that Hashem saved Yaakov from one more powerful than him. I guess that's an important lesson for us, is the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved Yaakov Avinu from Esav. I assume the pshat is to teach us a certain level of bitachon in Hashem. At the same time, the Ramban says that it's to teach us that Yaakov was all batach b'tzidkasav ishtada batzala b'chol yachalto, that Yaakov did ishtadlus. Even though he was a tzaddik, and even though also he had promises from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Midrash gets into, he had armies of malachim with him. I think it says about 40,000 malachim, it says in the Midrash Rabbah, but he didn't rely on that. He didn't rely on his tzidkus. He just did his ishtad. He knew that it's appropriate to do hishtadlus in these inyanim. Yesh ba'od remez l'doros, says the Ramban. A third idea, that there's a remez l'doros. The Ramban in general has a theme throughout Sefer Bereshis that Maaseh Avos Siman Abanim, that the actions of the Avos put things into place for the future of the Jewish people in the world. And so it's a model that everything that happened with Yaakov and Esav would happen with us, with the Bnei Esav. And number four, that we should go in the derech, that Yaakov was teaching us a derech, that Yaakov prepared himself in three different ways, and that's what we should do. With tefillah, u'adorn, u'atzala, b'derech melchama. He davened to Hashem. He sent Esav gifts, and he did different manners of appeasement to Esav. And he also prepared for war, which included potentially running away from Esav as well. That it wasn't just straight fight, but it was as we're going to see, that he split up his machna as well. He did different things in the element of war. He did things in the element of davening to Hashem, and he did things to try to appease Esav, to say, Avdi Yaakov, Adoni Esav. Midrash actually brings a story that Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi was writing a letter to a Roman leader, and his Talmud was writing, and he wrote Yehuda Hanassi, and he said, no, Avdecha Rebbe. And he said, Rebbe, b'zionis. He said, am I worse than Saba? Am I worse than the grandfather? He wrote Avdecha Yaakov. I can also write that sometimes that's the appropriate way to deal with Esav in the Galus. Anyway, obviously a lot to potentially discuss here. I want to focus on one specific area of it. So it says in Perek Amud Beis Pasuk Ches, it says, Vayira Yaakov Vayetzel, Yaakov was frightened and distressed. Maybe Shem Yigro Machet. Vayachetz es Amasher Itov es Son es Habakav Agamal Mishnei Machnos. He split up his camp, his animals and everything, into two camps. Vayomer Im Yavo Esav al Machane Hachas V'Ko V'Hayaha Machane Hanishar Lefleta. If Esav comes and attacks one encampment, then the other encampment will be able to flee and to survive. So this idea of Yaakov splitting up his camp. So the Midrash Rabbin Ayin Vav Gimel says, Vayachetz etzam, he split up his camp. Limda Torah and derech eretz. Shal yednodam nosin kol mamona b'zavas achas. You don't put all your money in one corner. In other words, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You don't invest all your bazat. You don't put all your investments in one area. Maybe that area will fall apart. You don't put all your money in one corner. Maybe that corner will get robbed. Who do you want it from? From Yaakov. That's why he split up his camp. And we find similarly in the Novi Malachim that it says Ovadia hid the Nevi'im in separate caves to hide them from Izevel. And Achav, that he realized, I have to put some in different places so that if some of them get attacked, then at least we have saving of the Nevi'im in another area. Midrash continues, Im Yavo Esav al Machna Chas V'Kahu. That refers to our brothers in the south, the ones who returned from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. Those that survive, those that are left will survive. That's the Achenu Shebagolas. Those are those who are in Bavel. That, in other words, it was prophetic in the sense that when the Jews in Eretz Yisrael were attacked after the Churban Bayis Sheni, so there was a strong encampment of Yidden in Bavel at that time, who were in a good place and already had something set up. Rabbi Yeshaya says even though they're Nishar L'Fleita, they would fast on Sheni and Chamishi. They still fasted B'Hav, they still mourned for their brothers, and they davened for them. Obviously they cared for them, but the idea is there was a Machna Nishar L'Fleita, that there was a remnant that survived. And the Ramban, on our Psukim, actually says that he brings this medrash, he says this is a remez l'doros, that Esav will never be gozer to wipe out our name completely, in the sense that there'll be one part of Esav that does bad to us in one land. Then there'll be another king who'll be gozer on us in a different land to be compassionate to us. You could have, we'll be mistreated in some lands by Esav, but there'll always be hamachane hanishar l'fleita, that this is a remez l'doros, that there'll never be complete annihilation at one time in all parts of the world from Esav, as I believe is how the Ramban is warning from the Psukim. He's saying that that's what this Medrash is alluding to. So an interesting idea the ArtScroll Medrash brings from a Maisa with Rav Yosef Kahaneman, the Panav Rav, that he asked the Chavetz Chaim when the Nazis rose to power, that they had their final solution. He asked them about it. Could such a thing be successful? The Chavetz Chaim said, that there's always going to be survival of the Yidden in a different place. And he asked him, where are they going to go? I said, Rav Heinemann, he said, Har Tzion tia Pleta. That Har Tzion will be Pleta. Pasuk in Ovadia, that they'll be able to flee to Eretz Yisrael. And it says that when the Panav Rav established the yeshiva in Bnei Brak, he inscribed on the yeshiva building in honor of the Chavetz Chaim, Har Tzion tia Pleta. That Har Tzion will be a place for our survival. Bring another interesting word from Rav Zalgruven Bengis in the Penina Mishulchan, from the Penina Mishulchan Gavoa, that he says it could have said hanishar peleta, that the last machana will survive. What's lifleta? The remaining machana will be for survival. That they have a mission. He darshan that that they have a mission, that they're there for the pleta of the Yidden as well. That they're there to help us, to daven for us, to help us. He said it over during World War II I guess he was talking to the Yidden in Yerushalayim. He says they have to daven, they have to give money, they have to do what they can help, they have to be working with Pleta. Just some interesting ideas about when this time when Yaakov looks like he's in tremendous danger and tremendous fear, that he's really doing planning. He knows he's in Hashem's hands and he's really doing planning for the future generations, and that according to this Medrash, that he put this in place, that he put a status, a remez in place to make sure that we would always have eternal survival. Had bias koyel tzedek, v'mheir v'yameinu. Wishing you all a wonderful Shabbos.